Spicy lady, breathe in slowly and exhale. This is your sacred space. No noise from the world, only the sound of your own power rising. You are not here to be light. You are here to become undeniable. Let every word you hear penetrate your subconscious. Speak them out loud. Claim them. Embody them. You spicy lady Sigma. I am calm in chaos and lethal in clarity. My silence is not emptiness, it is tragedy. I move with quiet power and unshakable confidence. I do not chase attention. I do not seek validation. I attract what respects my frequency. I am highly selective with my energy. I no longer tolerate what my former self accepted. My boundaries are final. I do not negotiate my peace. I enforce it. I release people, situations, any words that disrespect my value, without guilt, without explanation, and without looking back. And Shadi.
Welcome, Spicy Lady. The quietest revolutions often begin in the minds of those who refuse to join the noise. Imagine moving through life with an invisible compass that always points toward your own north, even when everyone else is chasing the same crowded path. That is the essence of a Spicy Lady Sigma. Not a rebel without cause, but a woman who simply operates on her own terms, building her world with steady hands while the spotlight stays on others. She is not trying to stand out. She just does. Most people never notice these women until they need something real. Honest insight, calm strength, or a solution that actually works. Spicy Lady Sigmas rarely broadcast their advantages, which is why they often overlook the rare gifts they carry every single day. These are not the loud, social media friendly traits everyone celebrates. They are quieter superpowers that give them an edge in a world obsessed with constant performance and group approval. From an uncanny ability to read situations before words are spoken to a natural independence that turns obstacles into private fuel, Spicy Lady Sigmas possess strengths that feel ordinary to them, yet remain rare and magnetic to others. They recharge in solitude, think deeply before speaking, and create paths where none existed, all without needing a crowd's permission. These 10 gifts shape how they lead, love, solve problems, and protect their peace in ways most people will never fully understand. Stick with this until the end. You will see familiar patterns in a fresh light and maybe recognize gifts you have been underestimating in yourself or someone close to you. The quiet ones have been carrying more than you think. Let's dive deeper. The Spicy Lady. Number 1. They absorb atmospheres like silent intelligence systems. A Spicy Lady Sigma does not just arrive somewhere and focus on what is being said. She takes in everything at once. Tone, pauses, eye contact, who speaks with ease and who is holding back. It happens quietly and almost automatically. In the moment, it can feel like too much. Like walking into a space and sensing tension you cannot explain yet. She may go quiet, not because she has nothing to say, but because her mind is collecting details. Later, when she is alone, everything starts to make sense. It is like replaying the moment with clarity. That joke that felt slightly off. The person who smiled but avoided eye contact. The shift in energy when a certain name came up. What felt confusing before now looks obvious. She connects the dots without forcing it. For example, she might meet someone who seems friendly on the surface. The conversation flows. Nothing clearly wrong, but something feels inconsistent. Maybe their words are warm, but their tone carries distance. She does not confront it immediately. She stores it. Days later, after noticing a pattern in how that person behaves with others, the full picture becomes clear. What she sensed in seconds takes others weeks to understand. This ability can feel heavy at times. She may struggle to explain why she feels a certain way about people or situations. Others might think she's overthinking, when in reality she is processing information that was never spoken out loud. What makes this rare is not just the awareness, but the patience. She does not rush to conclusions. She allows time to confirm what she sensed, and when it becomes clear, she trusts it. It is not magic. It is observation, memory, and quiet pattern recognition working together. And most of the time, she does not even realize how accurate she is. Number two, they have an internal filter for what's real and what's performance. She may not call it out instantly, but she registers it. A spicy Lady Sigma does not accept everything at face value. When someone speaks, she is not only hearing the words, she is weighing the feeling behind them. She notices when energy feels natural and when it feels rehearsed. It is not something she turns on and off. It runs in the background, quietly sorting what is genuine from what is not. The interesting part is that she does not always react in the moment. She can sit through a conversation, nod, even smile, while something in her mind is taking note. Maybe someone is being overly charming in a way that feels calculated. Maybe their story changes slightly each time they tell it. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious, just small inconsistencies that most people overlook. For example, imagine someone who is always supportive when others are around, but dismissive in private. Many people might excuse it or miss the pattern completely. She does not. She notices the shift, stores it, and waits. She is not in a rush to judge, but she is also not in a hurry to forget. This filter protects her, but it also changes how she connects with people. She does not easily get pulled in by words alone. Consistency matters more to her than charm. If someone's actions do not match what they say, it stands out immediately. Even if she cannot explain why at first at times, this can make her feel slightly out of place. Others may go along with the surface level version of things, while she is quietly aware of what is underneath. She might question herself, wondering if she is reading too much into it. But with time, patterns confirm what she sensed early on. What makes this powerful is not just that she notices, but that she remembers. And once something feels off enough times, she adjusts how much access that person has to her. She may stay polite. She may stay calm. But internally, the filter has already made its decision. Number three, they see potential, but learn to respect patterns. A spicy Lady Sigma often has a sharp eye for who someone could become. She notices strengths that are not fully developed yet. She sees the discipline someone could build, the honesty they could grow into, the life they could create if they stayed consistent. This makes her naturally encouraging. She can speak to a version of people that even they have not fully met yet, but this is where experience changes everything. At some point, she learns that potential is easy to imagine, but hard to live out. Anyone can talk about what they plan to do. Anyone can show flashes of greatness once in a while. The real measure is not what someone shows occasionally, but what they repeat daily. That is where patterns come in. For example, she might meet someone who is driven, full of ideas, and passionate about growth. In the beginning, it is easy to believe in them. They say the right things. They show effort here and there, and it feels promising. But over time, she notices something. The effort is not consistent. The discipline fades. The same excuses start to repeat. That is when the shift happens. She stops focusing on what they could be and starts paying attention to what they keep doing. This does not make her cold. It makes her clear. She can still appreciate someone's potential, but she no longer builds expectations around it. She understands that patterns reveal priorities. If someone consistently shows up with honesty, effort, and respect, she leans in. If they do not, she creates distance no matter how much potential they seem to have. This lesson is not learned quickly. It usually comes after giving people chances, hoping things would change, and realizing that hope alone does not create growth. What makes this powerful is the balance. She does not become cynical and she does not stay naive. She learns to see both the possibility and the reality at the same time. And when those two do not match, she chooses reality. Number 4, they instinctively map power without needing attention. She notices who leads, who follows, and who pretends. A spicy Lady Sigma has a quiet way of understanding how things really work around people. She does not need titles, introductions, or long explanations. Within a short time, she can tell who actually influences decisions, who tends to follow, and who is simply performing for attention. It is not something she studies on purpose. It happens naturally, like her mind is arranging a social map in the background. What makes this interesting is that she is not doing it to compete or take control. She is doing it to understand the environment she is in. Awareness helps her move wisely. It tells her where to speak, where to stay quiet, and where to step back completely. For example, in a group setting, there might be someone who talks the most and tries to dominate every conversation. Many people assume that person is in charge. She looks a little deeper. She notices who others glance at before making decisions. She notices whose opinion actually changes the direction of the group. Often, it is not the loudest person. It is the one others trust or rely on. She also notices those who pretend. The ones who present confidence but rely heavily on approval behind the scenes. The ones who speak strongly in public but hesitate when it matters. These details do not impress her, but they do inform her choices. This awareness protects her from being easily influenced. She does not get caught up in surface-level dynamics. Instead, she responds to what is real. If someone carries quiet authority through consistency and respect, she recognizes it. If someone builds their presence on noise alone, she sees through it. Times. This can make her feel slightly detached from the group. While others are reacting to what is obvious, she is observing what is underlying. She may not always explain what she sees, but it shapes how she engages. In the end, this is not about control. It is about clarity. And that clarity allows her to move through different environments without losing her sense of direction. Number 5, that they can step into someone's emotional world without losing themselves. A spicy Lady Sigma understands people from the inside out. When someone is going through something, she does not just listen to the words. She feels the weight behind them. She can sense confusion, hurt, or pressure even when it is not clearly explained. It is almost like she steps into the other person's space for a moment and sees life from their angle. This is why people often feel understood around her without knowing why. She does not rush to give advice. She listens in a way that makes people open up naturally. For example, a friend might say they are tired, but she can tell it is more than that. Instead of brushing it off, she asks the kind of question that goes a little deeper. Not invasive, just enough to let the person feel seen. But what makes her different is what happens next. She knows when to step back. Many people who are emotionally aware get pulled too far into other people's problems. They carry feelings that are not theirs and end up drained. A spicy Lady Sigma learns, often the hard way, that understanding someone does not mean absorbing everything they feel. She can care without taking it all on. Imagine listening to someone share a difficult situation. You understand their pain. You see their perspective, but you also recognize that their choices are theirs to make. Instead of trying to fix everything or getting overwhelmed, you offer clarity and then release the weight. That balance is what she develops over time. It is not something she gets right immediately. There are moments where she may give too much, stay too long, or feel more than she should. But experience teaches her where the line is. What makes this powerful is the control. She can connect deeply without losing her sense of self. She can be present without becoming overwhelmed. And in a world where many people either shut down or get consumed by emotions, that balance is rare. Number 6, that they can hold opposing truths without needing quick answers. She doesn't rush to pick sides just to feel certain. A spicy Lady Sigma does not rush to make everything simple just to feel comfortable. When a situation is complicated, she allows it to be. She can see two sides that both make sense, even when they seem to contradict each other. Instead of forcing a quick conclusion, she sits with the tension and lets it unfold. This is not confusion. It is patience. For example, she might be in a situation where two people are in conflict. One feels hurt and reacts emotionally. The other feels misunderstood and becomes defensive. Most people quickly choose a side and stick to it. She does something different. She can understand why one person is hurt and still see why the other feels attacked. She does not rush to label one as right and the other as wrong. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. There is pressure to decide, to speak, to take a clear position. But she resists that pressure. She knows that rushing clarity often leads to shallow understanding. So she observes, listens, and allows more information to surface. Over time, patterns begin to reveal themselves. What seemed unclear starts to make sense. She notices who takes responsibility and who avoids it. She sees who is consistent and who changes depending on the situation. That is where her clarity forms, not from quick judgment, but from patient observation. This ability also shows up in how she sees life. She understands that someone can be kind and still make harmful choices. Someone can care and still fail to show up when it matters. She does not need people to be perfect or completely flawed. She accepts that most people are a mix of both. What makes this rare is the discipline it requires. It is easier to simplify things, to reduce people to one label, to close the case quickly. She chooses not to. And because of that, when she finally forms an opinion, it is not based on impulse. It is built on depth, time, and a clear understanding of what is actually real. Number 7. They think beyond outcomes. They think about emotional aftermath. Decisions aren't just about results. She considers the ripple effects. A spicy Lady Sigma does not make decisions based on results alone. She looks further ahead, past the obvious outcome, and asks a quieter question. What will this feel like after everything settles? Not just for her, but for everyone involved. She considers the tension it might create, the peace it might bring, the distance it might cause, and even the regret that could follow. This kind of thinking slows her down in a world that rewards quick choices. While others focus on what they can gain in the moment, she weighs what it might cost later. For example, she may have the chance to prove a point in an argument. She knows she could win, but she also sees what comes after. The silence that follows, the shift in the relationship, the possibility of turning a small issue into a lasting distance. So instead of reacting, she chooses a response that protects the long term, even if it means letting the moment pass. Another example is how she handles opportunities. Something might look good on the surface, money, status, attention, but she thinks about how it will affect her mentally and emotionally over time. Will it drain her? Will it force her into spaces that feel heavy? Will it change how she sees herself? If the aftermath feels wrong, she walks away even when others cannot understand why. This does not mean she avoids difficult decisions. It means she makes them with awareness. She knows that every choice leaves a trace, not just in results, but in how people feel and how connections shift at times. This can make her seem overly cautious. Others may move faster, take risks, and deal with consequences later. She does not move that way. She prefers clarity before action. What makes this powerful is the foresight. She is not just reacting to life. She is thinking through the emotional impact before it arrives. And because of that, she avoids problems that most people only recognize when it is already too late. Number 8, they quietly test depth without announcing it, through pauses, questions, or silence. She observes. Not everyone passes, and she doesn't explain why. A spicy Lady Sigma does not rush to decide what someone is like. She observes first, not in a suspicious way, but in a patient way. She pays attention to how people speak when there is no pressure, how they behave when the spotlight is not on them, and how they respond when things are not going their way. Sometimes she does this through silence. She lets moments stretch a little longer than usual just to see what fills the space. Some people become uncomfortable and start talking too much. Others stay calm and comfortable with the pause. That difference tells her more than words ever could. Other times, she uses simple questions that seem ordinary on the surface, but she is not looking for perfect answers. She is listening for honesty, consistency, and depth. For example, if she asks someone about a challenge they faced, she is not impressed by a polished story. She notices whether the person takes responsibility or whether everything is always someone else's fault. There are also moments when she simply watches actions over time. Someone may say the right things in one conversation, but what matters more is what they do when no one is tracking it. Do they keep their word? Do they remain the same person across different situations? Or do they shift depending on who is watching? Not everyone meets the standards she unconsciously holds, and she does not explain her conclusions. There is no need for long discussions or justifications. If someone does not align with what she senses as genuine, she simply steps back. This can confuse people. They may feel like everything was fine, yet notice distance forming without explanation. What they do not see is that she was gathering information quietly all along. What makes this rare is not the testing itself, but the restraint. She does not rush to label people. She allows time, behavior, and consistency to reveal what words cannot. And in that quiet observation, she builds a very clear understanding of who is real and who is only temporary. Number 9, that they are selective with access, not incapable of closeness. She doesn't open up easily. Not because she can't, but because she won't where it isn't earned. A spicy lady Sigma is not someone who struggles to connect with people. She is fully capable of closeness, understanding, and emotional depth. The difference is that she does not offer it automatically. Access to her inner world is not something people get just because they are present. It is something that has to be earned through time, consistency, and behavior that proves it is safe to go deeper. At first, she may appear open enough. She can talk, laugh, and engage like anyone else. But there is a difference between interaction and access. Many people only ever reach the surface level version of her. They know her voice, her opinions, and her presence in conversations, but not her deeper thoughts or emotional layers. She does not open up easily, not because she cannot, but because she has learned the cost of opening too quickly. Experience has taught her that words can be easy, but consistency is rare. So she watches first. She observes how someone treats her when things are simple, and more importantly, how they behave when things are not convenient. For example, someone might be very attentive in the beginning, checking in often and showing strong interest. Many people would respond by opening up quickly in return. She takes a different path. She waits to see if that same energy remains when life becomes normal again, when attention fades, or when effort is required without excitement. Depth for her is not a reward given at the end of familiarity. It is a requirement from the beginning. Without it, connection stays limited, no matter how long she knows someone. This is why some people feel like they never fully get close to her, even after time has passed. What they may not realize is that closeness is not blocked. It is simply not automatic. When she does decide to let someone in, it is because they have shown more than interest. They have shown steadiness, and once that trust is given, it is real, but never careless. Number 10, that they underestimate how rare their perception is until patterns repeat. At first, she assumes others see what she sees. Over time, she realizes most don't. And that's when she stops over-explaining. At first, a spicy lady Sigma naturally assumes that other people are noticing the same things she notices. It feels normal to her. If she picks up on inconsistencies, emotional shifts, or repeated behavior, she expects others will see it, too. So in the beginning, she sometimes explains what she observes, thinking it will make sense immediately to everyone else. But over time, experience proves something different. She starts to realize that most people are not tracking the same layers she is tracking. They may focus on what is said directly, while she is also noticing what is not said, how it is said, when it is said, and how it repeats across time. What feels obvious to her is often completely missed by others. For example, she might notice someone always becomes distant after getting what they want, or that a person's kindness appears stronger in public than in private. To her, these are patterns forming early, so she might mention it, thinking it is clear. But others often respond with doubt, saying it is probably nothing or just a coincidence. Then time passes. The same situations repeat. The same behaviors show up again. What she sensed early begins to become visible to everyone else. Just later, that is the moment she quietly learns something important. Not everyone sees in patterns. Many people only see moments. And that realization changes how she communicates. She stops trying to explain everything she sees, not out of frustration, but out of understanding. She learns that insight does not always need immediate validation. Some people only understand patterns after they have lived through them. So, instead of repeating herself, she becomes more selective with her words. She shares less, observes more, and allows time to reveal what discussion cannot always prove. What remains is clarity. Not loud, not forced, just quietly accurate. In final words, understanding is not always loud. Sometimes it is just accurate. When you look closely at the traits often linked to spicy Lady Sigmas, what stands out is not superiority, but awareness. It is the ability to notice patterns, read emotional shifts, and understand people beyond what is spoken. But here is the deeper truth. Most of these abilities are not seen as special by the person who has them. They feel natural, almost ordinary, like the way they have always moved through life. Over time, experience teaches something important. Not everyone processes life in layers. Some people take things as they appear. Others go deeper without realizing it. This difference changes everything. It affects relationships, decisions, and even how trust is built. What looks simple on the surface often carries more underneath, and recognizing that becomes a quiet advantage. There is also a shift that happens with maturity. Early on, there is often an effort to explain, to help others see what is being noticed. But repeated experiences show that clarity cannot always be transferred instantly. Some things are only understood when people live through them themselves. So communication becomes lighter, observation becomes stronger, and silence becomes more intentional. In the end, these traits are not about labels or identity. They are about awareness, timing, and emotional intelligence that develops through experience. What makes them rare is not that they exist, but that they are often unrecognized by the person who carries them. And maybe that is the real point. Some of the most powerful ways of seeing the world do not announce themselves. They simply guide how a person moves, chooses, and understands life without needing to prove anything. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.